Let her go. Ex-Navy SEAL single dad risks everything to save woman from attackers. Part 1, The Storm Before the Rescue. Rain hammered against the windshield, blurring the neon signs of the small town of Ridgeview. It was past midnight, and the streets were nearly empty except for the occasional flicker of headlights slicing through the downpour. Ethan Cole tightened his grip on the steering wheel of his beat-up Ford truck, his mind halfway between the road and the restless thoughts that never quite left him alone. The war had ended years ago, but sometimes, in moments like this, the silence was louder than gunfire. He was heading home from the late shift at the hardware store, where he'd been covering extra hours to make rent and keep the lights on for his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. She was the only light he had left, the reason he got out of bed, the reason he tried to be more than what his past had turned him into. A gust of wind pushed against the truck, and he muttered under his breath, turning onto Riverbend Street, a shortcut that wound behind the closed shops near the town square. That's when he saw her. A figure drenched, stumbling in the middle of the road. He slammed on the brakes. The truck skidded, tires screeching against the wet asphalt, stopping just a few feet from the woman who froze under the headlights. She looked terrified, her hair plastered to her face, mascara streaked down her cheeks. Ethan jumped out, pulling his jacket tight against the cold. "Hey. Are you okay?" The woman flinched at his voice. Her lips trembled. "Please, help me." He took a cautious step forward. Years of training told him to stay alert. Her fear was real, but something else lingered in the air. The kind of tension he used to feel before an ambush. Then he saw it, a black SUV at the corner, headlights off, engine idling. 2 men stepped out. Ethan's instincts snapped awake. "Get behind me," he said quietly. The command in his voice wasn't loud, but it was enough. She obeyed instantly, trembling. The men approached fast. One was tall, wearing a leather jacket, his face half hidden. The other carried something metal glinting in the dark. "Walk away, old man," one of them said. "This isn't your business." Ethan's jaw tightened. "She said she needed help." "That makes it my business." The first man laughed, low and mean. "You don't know who you're messing with." "I don't need to," Ethan replied. "But I suggest you leave." The second man lunged forward, and that was it, the switch flipped. Ethan moved faster than either of them expected. A step, a block, a twist, the sound of an arm snapping cut through the rain. The man dropped to the ground with a shout. The other swung wildly, but Ethan ducked, slammed his shoulder into his attacker's chest, and sent him sprawling into the mud. It was over in seconds. The SUV screeched as another man, the driver, gunned the engine and took off, leaving his companions behind. Ethan turned back to the woman, breathing hard. She was shaking, her eyes wide with disbelief. "You're safe now," he said softly. "Let's get you out of here." She nodded, barely able to speak. "Thank you. I didn't think anyone." "Save it for later," he said, glancing at the men groaning on the pavement. "You hurt anywhere?" She shook her head. "Just scared." He helped her into the truck, gave her his jacket, and started driving. She kept glancing back, as if expecting the SUV to return. "I'm Ethan," he said finally. "You got a name?" Her hands were trembling, clutching his jacket like a lifeline. "Clara," she whispered. "Clara Bennett." "Okay, Clara." "You're safe now," he said again, this time with a softness that made her eyes glisten. Outside, the rain kept falling. but for the first time in years, Ethan felt something stir in his chest, not the cold emptiness of survival, but a spark of purpose. And he had no idea that saving her tonight would change everything.